There's a difference between hoping to rank up and having a system that actually gets you there. And if you've ever been hovering below elite, consistently win trading yourself between Diamond 1 and Diamond 3, it's not because you're almost there. It's because something fundamental is missing in your approach. And this guide isn't based on theories or recycled tips. It's based on what consistently works, not just for me, but for the players I've tracked, coached, and studied who hit elite without grinding 10 hours a day or relying on creative maps. These are patterns that show up over and over and over again in people who actually climb, and it starts with structure. Elite players don't play ranked like everybody else. They don't just load into the game and see how it goes. They have a routine. They drop at the same spot. They follow the same loop path. They rotate at the same times, and they approach every match with strategy. Every match has a framework, and that framework removes decision fatigue. It makes their play consistent. And most players are losing not because they're bad in fights, but because they're unstructured. Their games are chaotic. One match, they're full W king. The next, they're sitting in a bush. And the next, they're trying to play edge zone. The next, they're chasing surge tags. There's no identity, no rhythm, and structure is what filters out randomness. Pick one landing spot and master it. Know every chest spawn, every mat zone, and every rotation route. When you land somewhere new every game, you're gambling. When you land somewhere familiar, you're controlling the opening 3 minutes. And the first 3 minutes are everything because they set up the rest of your match. After the drop, your early game goal isn't to win fights, it's to set yourself up for a mid game, full match, solid loadout, mobility, and early position. That's the checklist. If you're pushing a team at full health but have no plan for what you'll do after, you're not playing ranked, you're just playing roulette. Now let's talk rotations. Elite players don't rotate late. They rotate before the storm closes. They don't need the zone to tell them when to move. They already know where they need to be. And because they move early, they avoid the chaos. They skip the edge zone fights, they get center and build up, or dead side rotate to minimize contact. Rotating early also gives them control of where they fight, not just who they fight, and that's one of the most overlooked pieces of ranked, choosing your terms. Players who move late are reactive. They burn mats, they get tagged, they panic. Players who rotate on time are proactive. They scout, they build defensively, they take smarter fights. Position beats aggression almost every time. And when it comes to fighting, the players who consistently hit elite are not the ones chasing clips. They don't push every fight they think they can win. They don't ego peek. They don't box dive unless it's the right call. They know what a good fight looks like, and more importantly, they know what a bad one feels like before it starts. Here's a pattern that shows up across nearly every elite player. They avoid unnecessary fights between second and fourth zone. That's when most of the random third parties happen. That's when people who are losing games are looking for desperation refreshes. That's when zone pulls are most unpredictable. The best players spend that time either controlling space, tagging safely, or rotating, not diving into risky fights that could ruin their entire match. And if they do fight, it's clean, it's fast, it's decisive. They don't build a skyscraper. They take space, read movement, and disengage if needed. They're not scared to leave a fight if the reward isn't worth the cost. That kind of discipline is what separates someone who could hit elite from someone who will. You don't need to win every game, you just need to play the ones you should win cleanly and not throw them with panic rotates, low IQ fights, or emotional decisions. Elite isn't a rank you grind into, it's a rank you prepare for. The mid game is where most players throw their shot at elite, not because they aren't good enough, but because they don't know how to manage chaos. They rotate too late, they get caught in unnecessary fights, or they burn all of their mats trying to survive zone pulls that should have been anticipated a minute earlier. If the early game is about control, the mid game is about composure, and this is where a lot of players break down, not mechanically, but mentally. They panic, they rush, they stop thinking. And here's what I've learned studying hundreds, if not thousands, of ranked replays. The players who hit elite don't play mid-game like everyone else. They're calm, calculated, detached. They don't chase fights. They don't waste mats, claiming height they can't hold. They don't panic build across open space with no plan. Everything is a measured move, and the way they get there is by sticking to one simple rule. Never make decisions from emotion. You hit a player for 120, cool, that doesn't mean push. If you're low on mats or they're near cover or zones pulling, it's a trap. You hear footsteps near you, that's not a green light for a box fight. That's a signal to pause, listen, and gather information. Elite players don't fight just because they're feeling it, they fight because the fight gives them value, a refresh, a better position, or more control of zone. Anything else is noise. A lot of ranked players confuse confidence with recklessness. Confidence is knowing you can win a fight, whereas recklessness is taking that fight even when you shouldn't. And truth is, fights are expensive. They cost health, time, and most importantly, mats. Every fight is a transaction, and the only time you should fight in mid-game is if the trade is in your favor, and that means doing a better job tracking resources. Do you have at least 300 mats, 2 mobility items, a way to rotate if storm pulls? If not, you're not in a position to fight. Elite players know their inventory before they box someone, and if it's not optimal, they disengage. No pride, just logic. Disengaging doesn't mean you're playing scared, it just means you're playing smart, and it's something players stuck in Diamond don't do often enough. The second piece of mid-game is rotation timing. Average players wait until the storm closes before moving. Elite players are already gone. They move when the lobby is distracted, when zone is still pulling, when people are healing, fighting, or farming. That's when you get free rotates. That's when you avoid chaos. Rotating early also lets you choose where you want to go. That's massive because in mid-game, zone is control of literally everything. Playing edge can work, but you need awareness. Playing center is better if you have the mats to hold it. The worst position you can be in is late, low, and loud. Rotating through open space with no plan while taking tags from 3 different angles, and it's not just about where you rotate, it's about how. Most players waste mats building in straight lines. They tunnel because they're scared, not because they're thinking. Elite players reuse old builds, stay grounded, use natural cover, and only crank when it's safe and has a purpose. Their rotations are quiet, clean, under the radar, so to speak, and when they reach zone, they reset, they reposition, they scout. They don't peek aggressively, they look for surge tags without giving up cover. They don't waste mats holding height unless they're confident it can be converted into in-game control. And if they get pressured, they don't overcommit. They layer down and survive. Survival is the win condition in mid-game because everything you do in this stage either puts you in a position to win the match or guarantees you'll be watching from the lobby before the final circles. You don't need to eliminate everyone. You just need to outlast the people who play ranked like it's pubs. The people who take every fight, who rotate late, who can't help themselves when they hear footsteps. That's not how you hit elite. That's how you stall out at Diamond 3 forever. So if you want to break through that wall, you need to start asking better questions during the match. For example, why am I here? Do I need this fight? What's the cost of staying in this spot? Where is zone polling? How can I move early and safely? Because the players who reach elite aren't just the best fighters, they're the best decision makers. You can have clean rotations, smart fights, and solid mechanics, and still never hit elite if your mindset isn't built to support it. That's the part that nobody talks about. The gap between diamond and elite isn't just about skill, it's about discipline, awareness, emotional control. Most players who are hard stuck aren't losing to better opponents. They're losing to their own decisions. They panic after a bad fight and start forcing every engagement. They drop into their next match with no real plan, trying to make up for lost points. They tilt, they spiral, they cue emotional instead of intentional. That's the cycle, and it's the number one reason players plateau just before elite. The players who break through that wall do it because they treat ranked like a process, because it is. They don't chase wins, they don't let a single death ruin the session. They detach their emotions from the outcome and focus on execution. They're not trying to play perfect, they're trying to play predictable. Every match is part of the system. Same drop, same path, same rotate, same mid-game plan, and that structure keeps them grounded. It filters out bad decisions, and when something goes wrong, and it will, they don't tilt. They analyze, they adjust. That's the mental edge that pushes you past diamond and into elite, because when you're in diamond lobbies, almost everyone is mechanically decent. You know, the players that actually climb are the ones who stay calm, stick to their process, and punish the people who don't. You don't win ranked games by being the flashiest player ever. You win by being the most stable one. You hold space when others overextend. You disengage when others ego push. You rotate before the storm moves. You conserve mats while everyone else panic builds. That's what consistency actually looks like. Not popping off once every 5 games, but placing high every single match because your habits don't break under pressure. That's how you actually hit elite and beyond. It's not about waiting for the perfect game. It's just about raising your floor. You're not trying to be the best player in the world. You're trying to be the hardest player in the lobby to kill. The one who doesn't give up free tags. The one who doesn't rotate late. The one who doesn't take dumb fights just to prove a point. And truth is, you don't have to figure out all of this by yourself. If you've been playing ranked for weeks with no progress, if you've tried different drop spots, creative warm-ups, and coaching videos, if you feel like you're doing everything right but it's still falling short, then it's time to stop guessing and start building a system that actually works. That's exactly why we created Rank Rise Academy. Rank Rise is for players who are serious about improving, not just playing. It's a coaching program built around structure, around accountability, and around actual results. You won't find recycled YouTube tips or generic advice here. We give you real coaching from people who live and breathe Fortnite, people who know what it actually takes to break through your plateau. Inside the program, you'll get access to replay analysis, personalized game plans, and coaches who work directly with you to identify exactly what's holding you back, whether it's positioning, mid-game awareness, rotations, or just decision fatigue. We help you fix it. And no, I'm not even the coach. This isn't about following me. It's about following a system, a structure, one that's already worked for hundreds, if not thousands, of players who used to be stuck exactly where you are now. If you want to stop wasting time, if you are done watching your rank bounce up and down with no direction, if you're ready to actually play with confidence, clarity, and a plan, then join the Discord and apply for coaching through Rank Rise Academy. We're here to help players like you hit elite, not with talent, but with systems. Because once you stop reacting to the game and start controlling it, ranking up becomes inevitable.